Hey everybody! So glad to be able to share this new insight with you. Sometimes it's just like a word just jumps out and and then I just kind of go on a deep dive of that one word. And so what I have here for you today, I think you're really going to enjoy it. So grab some tea, coffee, whatever, water, whatever is going to nourish you, and I'm going to dive in. So the word that started this kind of deep dive is the word clamorous, and not glamorous, clamorous. And it just, I was like, I think I kind of know what that word means. But then as I kept like diving into it and getting more depth around it, I started to understand that understanding this word really then helped me to understand how to create um, an analysis, or to show the difference of this one type of person versus this one type of person. So the word that started this whole thing is clamorous. And I was reading in Proverbs 9, and specifically 9:13. So the verse is, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knows nothing. So I'm just going to stop there. That's the simple verse that started this whole thing. And you think, wow, how can one verse of one proverb just take you down a rabbit hole? And that's sometimes how the Holy Spirit works, in terms of bringing you to different levels of understanding. So the first thing is in Proverbs 9, it's starting out by talking about what Lady Wisdom is all about. And Lady Wisdom is about inviting people into life, inviting people into living, inviting people into this is the right way to live, okay? And I'm going to get more in details of that about that. But the foolish woman is the woman that invites people to destruction. And when I've read this Proverbs 9 before many, many times, the slant or the hint of this verse is really about, I'm going to say, highlighting a woman at the door who's trying to seek people to deceive them. She is predicted or depicted as someone who is, full of lust, like a whorish woman. And when I read that verse so many times before, I was looking at it through that lens of someone who's a whorish woman is being temptuous and a seductress and trying to, snatch men into, her home and bring them into lust. And even though that is true, and that is one portion of, the verse, stolen waters are sweet and bread eaten in secret is pleasure. That's kind of like you can see that, or you can follow that thread through from the lust side of things. But the more that I did the research on the word clamorous, I realized that the foolish woman who's clamorous, it really is depicting a very different kind of woman. Because a clamorous woman is somebody who is noisy and turbulent and restless and creating confusion. And sometimes I don't always see that same parallel when I think of it from just the one filter of like a lustful woman, okay? But, a woman who is clamorous is characterized by drama and disorder and gossip and impulsiveness and lack of self-control. And when I saw that, again, the lack of self-control, I started to see that, a lot of the women that I know, that I have been in many people's homes, and that is from a client perspective, and then also from you kind of, when you get invited to somebody's home, you the person's home tells a lot about a person. And so, if you're walking into somebody's home and it's totally filled with chaos and drama, and there's no place to sit, and there's no place to relax, and there's no place to sit down and eat, there's no dining table, like those visible signs are showing that that home is in chaos. That home is in disorder, because a woman of valor, a woman of wisdom, is going to have a home that is filled with hospitality and a place for you to rest, a place for you to, reset and get nourished. She's going to have food to feed you. She's going to be able to give you blankets and clothing, and she's going to encourage. A woman of wisdom is going to encourage you to really rest, to have a moment to just get calm. She's going to create an environment that's filled with calmness and a sanctuary and a place to have great conversations, a place to learn. That's the home of a woman of valor, a woman who has wisdom. But in contrast, the clamorous woman has a home filled with chaos and disorder. The woman of clamor is, she has um all these all this evidence of indecision, of not making decisions about her stuff. A person who has a cluttered home and who hoards, that's a person of indecision. That's a person that doesn't have control over their own environment. They've been impulsive with purchasing things, but then are not really stewarding the things that they have. And therefore, if there's no place to sit, and there's no place to have a conversation, and there's no place to learn in this clamorous woman's home, then there's definitely evidence of a lack of self-control. And the clamorous woman, who is also a simple woman, is morally unformed, meaning they don't really have their focus on God. A clamorous woman, a simple woman, doesn't have a dedication or commitment to the Torah, to following the word. A clamorous woman is easily deceived. It doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. It just means that their focus is not on the Lord. Their focus is not on biblical principles. Their focus is not in having a righteousness. Their focus is not in having discipline. A woman of valor, a woman of wisdom, is going to have a disciplined life, is going to have a home of hospitality, a peaceful, orderly home, and all of that peace and all of that wisdom that she's willing to share, because she's prepared, she's studied the word, she's a scholar of the word, she's ready to share and give and express to those who come into her home. She's reflecting wisdom. But the clamorous woman, she symbolizes disorder and temptation and instability and hidden consequences, meaning she hasn't thought things through. She doesn't understand that her clutter and her not having a place for people to sit in her home is actually creating, imbalance in her life and within the people in her home. And she's lacking true spiritual knowledge, and she doesn't have discernment. It doesn't mean that she's not educated. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have any skills. We're talking about the clamorous woman, but it does mean that the clamorous woman does not fear God. She doesn't fear the Lord. And fearing the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The woman of valor fears the Lord. So the clamorous woman is going to say, let's take the shortcut. This is going to take too long. I'm just going to put this over here right now. I don't want to really make a decision about this thing, whether I want it or don't want it. I'm just going to stick it over here because I don't want to make a decision about it. That's the clamorous woman. She doesn't want to deal with the consequences. The other part of it is it's linked to lust in the sense of desire, and like the clamorous woman is going to want all these things. She's going to have the desire for all these specific things, material things. But then when she gets those things, she's not really going to use them. She's not really going to implement them. They're going to be like obstacles even in her own pathway to get from point A to point B within her home, because of the clutter, because of the hoarding. But she's going to tell everybody, it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to hurt you. Just stick it over there. I can still be here. I can still get to my sink. Well, if all of your countertops are filled with crap and you don't have a functioning kitchen, then you're really not creating a home of hospitality for those who come into your home. If you can't really see what assets you have and you can't really utilize the tools and the materials and the things that God has put in your provision, then you're not being a good steward of what God has put into your hands. And it's not really hurting me, that philosophy, like, it doesn't really matter. That's the voice of the clamorous woman. She just doesn't want to take responsibility. It's like she's a kindergartner in an adult woman's body, but the kindergartner's like, I just want to play, I just want to have what I want, but I'm not willing to be disciplined. I'm not willing to suffer the consequences of my undisciplinedness, right? This folly, or this clamorousness that we're talking about here, it's not just about what's in a woman. It can be in a man as well, okay? But the telltale signs are gossip, manipulation, constant conflict, impulsiveness, deception, attention seeking, unethical behavior, and living only for immediate gratification. Now, when I read out all of those statements, oh my goodness, does it sound very similar to the definition of narcissist? A narcissist is all about deception, is all about impulsiveness, attention seeking, unethical behavior, manipulation. So again, paying attention that this whole idea of clamorousness and deception, it's linked together. And, this idea of immediate gratification, a narcissist, they want what they want when they want it in this moment, and they will do whatever it takes to get it, at your expense, at anybody's expense. They just want it. They want that thing at that moment. And whether that's drugs, sex, alcohol, a new watch, a new leather jacket, whatever it is that they want in that moment, it's like they are whining and creating like a tornado of emotions, to make a scene, because they want what they want in that moment. And I've witnessed it many times previously by being in association with people who have been definitely labeled as narcissists. Okay. And it's I'm just going to put it in terms, it's a crap show. Seriously, it is. But that spirit of folly, that spirit of clamorousness, that like immediate gratification, like you have to have it now. Like if you don't have it now, your world is going to fall apart. Like it might sound like the clamorous woman in her home. It might sound like, oh, go do this for me right now. I need you to go take the dog out right now. And it's like, why can't she take the dog out? Why does she need her son or her husband to take the dog out? Why can't she take the dog out? It's this feeling of like somebody else has to do the task for the clamorous woman. She's not capable of actually doing the work herself, or that's what she tells herself. She wants to lounge around and, be served. She doesn't want to be the servant to others. She wants to be served. She wants to be the queen in an unhealthy way, because a real queen is going to do work. A real queen is going to take command. A real queen is going to take dominion over her environment. A real queen is going to herself do certain tasks to keep that environment in order, and to put other people in place to maintain that environment in order. But a clamorous woman is going to fight emotionally and physically to keep the disorder, the chaos, the clutter, the hoarding. The clamorous woman is going to fight that the clutter has to stay. The clamorous woman is going to fight that other people need to do her chores instead of her doing the chores and taking dominion over her home and her environment to make it an orderly place. The clamorous woman is going to make excuses. She's going to say, I can't do that today. My back hurts. Just put that over there. I'll deal with it tomorrow. The clamorous woman is going to be about procrastination. She is going to be about, she can't do it. It's not the right timing to do it. Let me put it off after I do this other thing. But after she does the other thing, the pile of things that she hasn't dealt with have piled up, and she still is not even willing to look at those things, dissect those things, go deep on those things, because she would rather whine and gossip and cry and tell other people that she's incapable of doing and managing the stewardship of her own home. She would rather have another woman come in her home and do the work for her. She would rather have servants or her children do work that she's unwilling to make a decision about, but she's going to tell them to only do this certain portion that benefits her, but the rest of the environment still is mile high with clutter and hoarding and impassable pathways, meaning there really is no place to sit. There really is no place to have a home or enjoy anything, because you're walking on eggshells. You're walking around mounds of stuff that, with all of these, piles of indecision that person is unwilling to make decisions about. But the lady wisdom, the woman of valor, is going to confront. The woman of valor is going to say, hey, I'm speaking my truth. And what I see is you're not dealing with your stuff. And I'm here to help you deal with your stuff, but you still have to take responsibility. Not just partial responsibility, 100% responsibility for your stuff, for your hoarding, for your mess, for your environment that you have let go, that you have let it pile up to this level. Like, it's time for you to now take responsibility. I'm here to help you. I'm here to point you in the right direction. I'm here to lead you into what is necessary to take your ownership back, to take your dominion back, and to control your environment. But Lady Wisdom, the woman of valor, she is building, she's creating, she is utilizing and having proper stewardship over what she owns and what is in her possession. She creates beautiful environments. She creates environments where people can come together and learn and gather and have a fine meal, because her refrigerator and freezer and cabinets are full. She's ready to serve. She knows how to make recipes and how to feed people that come into her domain. She knows how to take something like flour and make it into bread. She knows how to, take a couple simple ingredients and make a sauce or make a salad or, create a smoothie or create, all these different ethnic meals. And she's practiced this over her lifetime, so she can just throw something together in a moment's notice, because she is a woman of wisdom. She has studied and learned from the Bible. She has studied and learned amidst the feet of other teachers. She is a master of discipline, and she wants to share that wisdom with other people. She honors God. A woman of wisdom honors God, and she's helping herself and others that come into her home, the woman of valor, to have peace and to have life. But again, in contrast, the woman of clamor is she's leading people to destruction and death. She's leading people to the quick fixes, the, not taking personal responsibility. She's instilling in other people indecision, procrastination. It's not that important. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Whereas the woman of valor is challenging the woman of clamor and saying, hey, if you want to live like that, fine. I'm just pointing out to you that, that's not helping you. It's not helping your family to be in total chaos and disorder and not know how to make a meal and not know how to take care of yourself and not know how to take care of your home. Like you're not you're not building and creating where people can come together. People are not coming over to your house to have a meal because there is no place to sit. People are not coming over to your house to, have a Bible study because you're out of alignment and you're full of chaos and disorder. And because your family is as well. And everybody else is trying to point you to you and help you, and you're still not receiving instruction. The clamorous woman is not receiving instruction. They're not following directions. They're making excuses all the time. A woman of valor says, hey, I'm going to go take a walk today. Would you like to come with me? The woman of valor is inviting another woman to learn, to grow, to level up. The woman of valor is sharing her experience, strength, and hope and saying, hey, I'm here if you need me. But the woman of clamor is making excuses. She's going to make the appointment and say that she's going to go on the walk, but she's going to cancel at the last minute when it rains, when it snows, when it's too hard, when it's too hot, when it's too cold, when she just doesn't feel like it. The woman of clamor is always whining and making excuses. She's the victim. She doesn't want to do the work. She would rather lay on her sofa and have other people do the work for her. But she is also the woman that's overweight, that's obese, that has not dealt with the responsibility of taking ownership over her body and her home. Now, in these descriptions that I've given you, there is a real distinct separation. The woman of valor, the woman of wisdom is she's focused on purity. She's focused on creating a peaceful environment, and she is offering you an opportunity for mercy. And that mercy is through instruction. It's through discipline. It's through hard work. You can do hard things. The woman of valor has gone through hard things. A woman of valor, a woman of wisdom, has applied the intelligence and the knowledge which has become the wisdom. She has put faith and action together to create commitment, to create results. Okay. The woman of clamor, in contrast, she may have some earthly wisdom in a certain area of her life. Okay. But she is marked by selfish ambition. She wants everybody to do things for her. She is not willing to do things for herself or for other people. She wants everybody to serve her, but she's not willing to do the work that's necessary to receive the title of being a servant. Okay? She wants other people to do it for her. And the woman of clamor is about disorder and clutter and chaos and unrest. There is no rest in the woman of clamor's home. So the question here is, if you are starting to hear what I'm sharing about these two different women, the woman of clamor or folly and the woman of valor or wisdom, they're two different, distinct type of women. And this one word, clamor, in this one verse of Proverbs 9:13, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knows nothing. Now, I have so much more to unpack on this. And so I'm just giving you a little bait here to, unpack this even more. And in terms of how to really apply it in your life, not just to talk about it, but how to apply it. Now, I can tell you that all of us may have symptoms or pieces of a woman of valor and pieces of a woman of clamor. We might be a mixed version of, maybe at a certain point in our life, we fell into the ways of the clamorous woman because maybe we had trauma or catastrophe or hardship or, grief or loss. And therefore, all of those pileups of going through the grief, the flood, the loss might have created the symptoms of being a clamorous woman, where we weren't responsibly dealing with our stuff. We weren't responsibly dealing with the chaos. We were overwhelmed. Didn't know what the next step should be. So we just stayed in indecision. We stayed with the pileups. We stayed with the clutter. We stayed with all of the things that we didn't know what to do with. Okay. That can be, you can find yourself in that category of either having been the clamorous woman, or maybe you are the clamorous woman right now with clutter and chaos, and you don't want to dig deep to the hidden understanding that you're creating more death and more problems in your life because you're refusing to deal with what is actually present in your life. You're unwilling to deal with the past of what happened in your life, which is actually in your present, but you're unwilling to deal with it because it takes effort. It takes hard work, but you're unwilling to do that hard work. So if you find yourself in the label or the category of the clamorous woman in any of the ways that I've described today, I'm here to tell you, you can break free from these patterns, okay? You can make the switch, and you can elevate, and you can level up, and you can become the woman of wisdom, Lady Wisdom. You can become the woman of valor. You can start to edit, you can start to curate and cultivate an environment that is supportive for hospitality. You can edit and cultivate and curate a home that supports you and supports your family and supports your community, where you can have a Bible study. You can make a dinner and have people come over for that dinner. It's a choice. It always comes back to choice. So the other point I'm going to highlight on, and I'm going to talk about this in a different video, it's going to be about Tet, your head, number 9, creating choice. Everybody has a choice between the snake and the crown, the woman of clamor and the Messiah, the one who has conquered all. It's a choice. So look for that other video as well, which you can find, and I will link that. So if you're interested, I offer life coaching, health coaching, and fitness coaching wherever you are in your process. If you are in the midst of menopause and you've gained a bunch of weight and you don't know what to do, and you just want to get in the process, get in the program, and figure out what to do next, I'm here to help you. I am not perfect. I am in my own process. I am managing my days one day at a time, and I'm doing what I can do to conquer all of the battles within my own life. I am just here to be a voice, a guide. I can share with you what has worked for me. It is then up to you to either, quote, follow the instructions, which are biblically based, and then to listen to the Holy Spirit guiding you personally, and then you develop your own, take or filter on what was shared through the word. So I hope that if you're ready right now, that's what I'm looking for, to work with people that are ready right now. You can hear and identify with what I just said about a clamorous woman or about a woman of valor, and you either want to level up and up level into be more of a woman of valor and more of a woman of wisdom, Lady Wisdom, or you're looking at, wow, I really have been this woman of clamor and I don't even know what to do. I'm so overwhelmed. I still don't know what to do. That's fine. You can jump in there and learn about how to get out of the trap of being a clamorous woman and learn the ways of the crown, learn the ways of taking dominion. So look below for my details for life coaching, health coaching, and fitness coaching. And I look forward to seeing you in our private sessions, in the group sessions, and within the different products that I'm offering for you to get additional information. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.